ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Let's look into 22nd, 23rd sutras. Before that, let me try to give you a little background. The whole idea is that this the whole karmakanda, which is supposed to be a huge elaborate thing that is there in the Vedas and also in the society, it covers large amount of population which are common people, common public. And common public have these various rituals, practices, whatever may be the society that they are in, like the way often people think that it's only Brahminical society as that kind of a thing. It's not just true. There are several rituals in the Brahminic society. Kshatriyas have different, and Vaishyas, Shudras. So every strata of the society has all those things, including those people who are in the Chandalas also. They have their kind of practices to see that at the societal level, at the Samaja level, that they were doing all kinds of things that were there. And that's what elaborately our Vedas give. And Shankara put all those things together and then tried to see that every strata of the society, everywhere, they are taken care of. That's why I've given you the idea last time, some time back, that all this Dashanami Sampradaya he created to see that there are guides for guiding them from the scriptural point of view, all these things. But there are some few people who are there at the top of the whole strata in the society, so who are trying to guide the people in the ultimate reality, ultimate goal of life. And that's what is this Sannyasa Sampradaya that he has created, especially these four Vedas, Vedic created, Sampradayas they created. At the lower level, at the Samaja level, at the societal level, at the ordinary man level, that all these rituals are supposed to be either to see that there is removal of sorrow and then enhancing of the happiness. And not only here and beyond that, the idea is that you carry the seeds of the happiness to go life after life after life, and the seeds of the sorrow can go also life after life. So therefore, how to avoid that, how to come into that. So this is what they have given in the form of what is called as punya and papa. Punya are those things that you do so that these are supposed to be the seeds of happiness that you carry life after life after life. It's very different from the way that other religions have pictured the whole thing. For them, what happens is that you do the good work and then there is a place in the heaven. And heaven, you get all this joy that you missed here. So therefore, that heaven is a place where all kinds of joy elements are there. And there again, the joy elements are given with the help of all these senses that are connected with this body. But unfortunately, what happens when we leave this world, we leave this body also here. We don't have the senses which are going with us. So where is the question of enjoying those things that are there in other world when you go there? So therefore, this is always a question that was there about the heaven and hell that was there. More than discussing about the heaven and hell, Indian philosophy discussed about the punya and papa. That means to say there are virtues and then there are vices. The vices you do, that you are actually investing for your sufferings in the life, whereas virtues, that you are investing yourself for the sake of the comfort or the joy of this particular life. And therefore that they have this, not only that they have specified certain things like the way that what all the things that you do, but even the rituals are created in such a way that the rituals, in the name of rituals, they included what is called as the charity that you do it or the compassion that you show. All these things are given in the form of rituals and which are supposed to be punya karyas. That means to say any small little occasion that takes place in the house, you always attach it with the punya karya and then see that in the process that you are doing it, many people get that joy, subscribe that joy. It may be somebody's death, it may be somebody's birth. In both the cases that we have created that kind of thing. That's how we say that even somebody dies, then we create what is called as the Vaikuntha, where you try to see that everybody gets a nice, wonderful atmosphere that you create, positive thing that you create. The person who died also goes to the heaven or Vaikuntha, but then at the same time, all the people who are there, they are contributing towards that particular seeds of joy that is there for this thing. That's why it is called as supposed to be the Punya Karya. Punya Karya is that activity that we do for the sake of which is giving the seeds of the joy, seeds of goodness to the individual. Now, therefore, basically, it is the Swarga and Naraka, that is the heaven and hell. They are not the point of discussion. The point of discussion is Punya and Papa. This is what Punya Karya and then Papa Karya. So this is what the focus of these things and the common man's world. But then nowhere else this particular concept of rising above the Punya Papa, rising above the heaven and hell. And that concept is there only in the Indian culture. And that's what is, you raise to the level of going to what is supposed to be the moksha or mukti. This mukti and moksha is something which is basically the goal of all this intellectual discussion that go on. Don't stop at the simple level of the virtues and vices or the heaven and hell, which are child play. You rise above that very easily without any difficulty, that you have gone above that. But then after that, don't stop at that level, try to go beyond that. That's why we have this idea of Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna was good. Arjuna has always done the Punya Karya, supposed to be, but look at the way that he needs a teaching of Bhagavad Gita, which is one step higher than that. And that's where basically Shankaracharya also is trying to give us idea that that goal of the highest moksha, freedom, and that's what is given the idea, concept of the Indian culture, Indian philosophy. And again, that's being re-emphasized here. And going to that is recognizing that and trying to identify with that is what is called as the Bhaja Govindam. Bhaja Govindam is not at that level, but at that level where it's not the question of Punya Papa, it's not the question of heaven and hell, but it is a question of where the higher level, that's what is basically the idea of the mukti or moksha, the freedom that is concept about it. Now, it does not deny the question of doing good work and not doing bad work, and doing punya and doing the papa or the ritual that we are doing. It doesn't deny that. It gives a full respect for the householders to do all this kind of ritual that they are doing it. It was never with an idea of de-recognizing that or leaving that behind and then going beyond. But then at a transcending this idea, that's what is Bhaja Govindam talks about it. So until now that he was talking about various things which are saying that this world is something where he gives that idea when somebody goes to Bhagavad Gita Kinchitatita Ganga Jallava Kanika Pita Sakruda Piyena Murari Samarcha Kriyate Tasya Yamenana Chacha. Last time I was recollecting the idea what is meant by Yamenana Chacha. It's not that Yama is discussing about that, but the idea is that every moment that you are in the grip of a fear, the grip of something that can happen to you, and any small little simple thing can dictate you, can disturb your peace of mind in the form of death. Any moment it is hanging, the sword is hanging on your head. That's why I given the example of Stalin, supposed to be such a world conqueror, but at the same time, look at the way that his mind was, that he was not even able to, he could not take the food that is made by his own daughter, Svetlana. Somebody else has to take it and then he should survive the next 3, 4, 5 hours. Then he would only take it. What an unfortunate thing it is that he could not even enjoy the company of his own daughter. It was such a sad thing that is there. We don't want that kind of a thing. And this is where Yamena Chacha, Yama is searching, is Chacha, is doing the analysis or thinking of us. is moment to moment we are living with the sense of fear. And such a person who is in Ganga Jalala Kanika Pita Sakruta Piyena Murari Samarcha, when he said like that, it is not the question of that lot of water that we take, but the most important thing, Ganga is the idea of purity. When your heart is pure like Ganga, then even a drop of it can be something which can really quench your thirst, take you beyond, give you that satisfaction. Now, for us, this Ganga does not mean that the river Ganga there in the Himalayas, but anywhere that we have this concept of Ganga is something where the purity that enters into us. In fact, there is nothing which can be more, something which can purify us more than water. After all, everything is done, finally, what purifies us is this water. And you clean it with the water, and then it's a really ultimate cleaning that can happen. That purity beyond the level of opposite, and even that's why we have a word which is beyond the pair of opposite. Pure and impure is one thing, Shuddha, Shuddha, and all that. But then beyond that, there is one more word in Sanskrit that we have, what is called as Pavana. Pavana does not have anything opposite to it. There is no something which is supposed to be counter to it. So therefore, it is that level when we reach is the one, that's what is basically the idea of, in order to personify that in the Ganga, that we have given such an extraordinary, wonderful position for Ganga, purifying. There was a long time ago, about 30 years ago, something like that. There was a Bahubali that where Shravan Balgala, that they had one of the Jain meetings, which are supposed to be once in 100 years, something like that. It happens, and huge organization, huge arrangements were made because people from all over the world, Jains, they were coming and assembling there. And particularly Jains are very fastidious about the purity, cleanliness, and all those things. So they have provided nice, wonderful tents for them, and everybody was provided with the water taps, and everything was there. And myself and my friend, we were staying in one of the tents like that. And then this friend came one day. He was outside. Suddenly he came almost like shivering. He said, "What is this? The Jains are supposed to, he is very pure and clean and all like that." He is next door, next tent, there are Jains, somewhere from Rajasthan they have come. And they don't have this concept of purity at all, the concept of cleanliness. I said, "What happened?" Because I know that Jains are very particular about their cleanliness, and then they are clean also. The way I see Rajasthani people, they were like that. They said, "What happened?" I said that they put the sand in the vessel and then keep the vessel like that only, without cleaning it with water. I went and saw what really happened was, they are the Jains from Jaisalmer area. So there, probably in the Rajasthan area, there will be hot, sand will be there, water will be scarce there. So therefore, what they do is, after eating the food or anything like that, they actually put the sand, hot sand, and then with the sand that they just clean the whole thing and then clean it with cloth and then keep it that way, because it is their cleanness, but they're very clean. Here, they have come here, they were, first of all, first time that they wash it with the water. After washing with the water, rinsing it, and then they put the sand and then clean the whole thing and keep it there. This is what upset him. Then I said that, look, we have taken that water to be the purifier, but they have taken the hot sand to be the purifier, and they carried the sand all the way from Rajasthan to Bangalore because that they were attending this particular program. So in any case, what happens is that something what you really, Ganga Jala is something which is supposed to be purifying aspect of it. Kinchit bhita, that means a little bit that you take, it purifies you, not only the body, but also the soul. That's what is the way that Ganga Jala is throughout your body, all the way right up to the soul, it can purify. That's one of the reasons when somebody is dying, they say last thing is, before the last breath goes away, put some Ganga water in his mouth so that let him take it. Supposed to purify the soul also. At that level, it will take care of it. Concepts are good. We don't have to translate into reality, but then concepts are so beautiful psychologically that you feel that pure. That's why Ganga Jala Kanika Pita, Sakrita Piyena Murari Samarcha, Krete Tasya Yamena Nachatya. Yama doesn't worry about it. Now, this cycle that is there, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jathare Shayanam, Ihasam Sare, Bahustare, Krupaya Pare, Pahi Purare. Now, Yama's role comes here, and that is what a cycle has to be maintained, and that cycle is birth and death. Whatever that is supposed to be born will die, and that has to decay. It's not only the human being, it happens in the whole creation. In fact, so much so that even the stars and the planets and which are created will die one day or the other. In fact, they say that scientists say that this light that comes from the star, by the time it reaches the earth, the star would have already vanished. It doesn't exist. So, and then, but it again comes back again, a star is born even before you know it. So like that, this is what is going on. In fact, this is what in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says. Very beautiful statement. He says, Ajanma bhuvanadeva abrahma bhuvanadeva punaravartinottana. Right from Brahman up to the Jiva, abrahma bhuvanadeva punaravartinottana. Everything comes back again. So it's a rebirth is something which is common. Not only for you, even for the Brahman also. So therefore, the rebirth, Punarapi Janam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jathare Shayanam. That means to say you are in the mother's womb, and then from there it comes up. The idea of Jathare Shayanam is a very unique way that Shankaracharya expresses about that. The idea is at that point of time, absolutely there is no freedom of yours. Somebody else is managing everything of yours, and he is taking care of you, she is taking care of you. Your circulation, your respiration, your this, your that. Everything is going on in the mother's womb, and you are there. It seems to be that you are individual. That's what the tests show. But then you don't have any independence there. What the mother takes the food is the food for you. What if she takes spicy food, then you are in trouble. If she takes soft food, then you are okay. So, and if she does hard job, that you are also troubled. So everything depends upon somebody else. And from there that you come out and then start breathing and start walking. Look at the way that the whole attempt, why he says that, it is because basically that you seem to be, you are bound. And then every step that you take in the life seem to be like you are shattering those bondages. Bondages like, you lie down on the back and suddenly you turn around. Now you can move forward. So you look at the freedom that you have. Then you sit up and then start walking. That's a big freedom the child experiences. Now, like anybody else walks, I can also walk. What a wonderful freedom. At every step you see that you are looking for the freedom. So that means to say that this, whatever that is birth and death, what is going on, is something which is under bondage, and then you would like to come out of that freedom. And this world is nothing but something where all these things are there. Now, in the process of that you are growing, what happens is that there are so many things that are developed inside. So for that, you created a family, you created a house, you create another thing, and you create bondage again. You create all kinds of bondages. And again, that you would like to come out of that freedom. So this is what we probably next life that I can get a better situation so that I can free myself. All this is like a dream that happens. So Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jataresham. All these things, it seems to be like a continuous cycle that's going on. And many people, they don't even believe that they die. Let the whole world die, but then I don't die. That is the kind of concept that they have. I said people who are lying down, the cancer patients lying on the cancer ward, Other cancer patient dies, then they say, poor fellow died. Sorry that maybe he goes to heaven. But the same situation is yours. Not only the cancer patient, but anybody else's situation is the same. So, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jatare shayanam, iya samsare khalu dustare. This is what's going on. The struggle to come out of that death, that's what is going on. But you look at what happens as the end comes, what remains is only that miserable things. In fact, there is nothing which was there in the earlier days, joyful days. We don't even remember that. All that what we remember is that these are the things which are continuously working in our mind, because our immediate mind is only something which is filled with the negative. That's why at that point of time we think that the life is so horrible, and therefore let me come out of this particular cycle of birth and death. This Kripaya Pare, Pahi Murare. Only thing that can happen is that, see, once we recognize this change against something which is non-changing. If there was something which is not changing, is not there, then we would not have looked at it as a changing at all. Like for example, at any point of time, the scientists say that Earth itself is, the whole solar system is moving at such a high speed in the space. But we don't have any idea about that solar system which is moving. It's very stable, we look like, we feels like, because we don't have anything other than that, because we are in the system. Once we are in the system, then we don't know the change that is happening. It's like it is said that these flies, light flies that they fly around the light, they are born in the evening, they die in the night, and then they don't see what's happening the next day coming and all that thing. So for them, that they don't have this idea, because that there is something which is not stable, background behind it is not there. But then we recognize that the change that's occurring, and we see that the whole nature in front of us dying and then taking rebirth again. So that shows that yes, we will also, wise people also thought that yes, we also come back again. But then come back in what way? The same journey that's going on. Whatever that we have gone through, the same journey is going on. Unwise people don't even think of it, but wise people think only this much. But then there is one thing that is necessary, is that we need to understand is that beyond this thing also there is something which is non-changing. Because of that reason only we perceive changing. So that non-changing that we need to identify ourselves with, and that's what is Kripaya Pare Pahi Murare, where you surrender yourself to the divinity. Under that divinity, when you surrender, what are you surrendering? You are surrendering whatever that is there in the outer world, whatever that you identify yourself with the outer world. You sit back and see that, yes, this is not me, this is not me, this is not myself, this is not myself. Kripaya Pare Pahi Murare. That means, oh divinity, now your grace is the one which takes me beyond that. See, this is what Soren Kierkegaard has written, that grace and gravity. Gravity is that where I do it, where I am subjected to the laws external. Whereas grace is something which frees me from the loss. And you can see very simple thing, even the prana at its level, it frees itself from that gravity. It frees itself into that gravity. That itself is flowering. If a small little plant, a flower, something like that can happen, why can't it happen to us? And by that, this freeing ourselves from that clutches is what is grace. Kripaya Pare Pahi Murare Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. Then he comes to the idea, Ratcha Karpata Viratita Kanthaha, Punya Punya Vivarjita Pantha, Yogi Yoga Niyojita Chitto, Ramate Balon Matta Padena, Mattavadena, Unmattavadena, Balaha Unmattavadena, Ramate Bala Unmattavadena, Yogi Yoga Niyojita Chitta. This is the right from that previous stanza directly connects to this stanza. Radhya Karpata Vericheta Kantha. Yeah, whatever that rishi, whatever that sannyasi doesn't care for much of whatever that he is wearing, the clothes, something that you need to cover, something that you need to protect yourself. So just have that. And not only that, that means to say needs outside world for taking care of your needs, something which is there outside. It may be simple. Don't even bother so much about that. Lot of that's in this culture, it is like that right from the beginning. The thought is like that. In this very culture itself is like that. Whereas in the other cultures, even at the end of the day also, they are still caught up with what is the dress that they wear, what is the way that they live, what are the things that are there around. Those things become very important. Whereas here, all these things are just nominal kind of a thing. Virachita Kandha, Punya Punya Vivarjita Panda. Once that is given up, the next thing that person who is free from that is the Punya Apunya. And that concept we need to come out. Punya Apunya is the concept which is still there at the level of rebirth. I do the Punya so that I come better rebirth, and then I do that, then I go into the Hira Yonihi. That's what the whole of Garuda Purana talks about it. How, what kind of life that you carry. All these images, they're fine at that level. They're at that level that they're important. And somebody raises above that level, Punya Punya. From that level, Vivarjita Panthaha. And when can it be possible? Yogi Yoga Niyojita Chitta. This is where the idea of Yujjate Anena It Yoga, the idea of yoga is that you are linked yourself, you connected, you are merged yourself with that which does not die. Our mind is merged into that Brahman, which does not have birth and death. So there is something which is consciousness, which does not undergo the death. But then there is this body, mind, consciousness, body, mind, and all other things which are there, intellect, everything, which undergoes death, which undergoes change, transformation. Our identification with these things that was there, remove that and then put it with the idea of Brahman. So yogi, yoga niyojita, this is organized in such a way that I am in this body, I use this body, I use this intellect, I use this everything, but I'm not one with that. I see that I'm somebody behind it, and somebody is not with that. In fact, for a person who so he experiences like that, you can see that eyes are not seeing. Actually, I am seeing behind the eyes. And then that eye cannot be seen, because eyes can only see something which is the body outside, which is the world outside. So anything that my senses experience, anything that my even inner senses experience, it's all about the world outside. You look at the intellect, you look at all the values that you have. You look at the idea of punya, punya, all these things belong to the world outside. It doesn't belong to you. When you come up all those, when you give up all those things, such a person is the one, yogi, yoga niyojita chittaha. And this yoga niyojita chittaha, that means to say somebody is identified with that pure being himself, is like a bala. Now we always say that we all have the pure consciousness within us, or we are the pure consciousness and all other things are there. And a child is identified with the pure consciousness. So when we talk about truth, truth belongs to that pure consciousness. Child's truth is like that. The child does not manipulate. Child cannot manipulate. So Bala has that kind of a thing. Looks like mad, like child is somebody who is very pure, very clear, very innocent. In fact, you can see that there was one children running race was there, and all the children were running, and the parents were there wooing them to come to the finish line. But then one of the children fell down hurt himself, cried. Immediately there is another child who was there by his side. He just looked back. Said, this child fell down. So he looked at and then immediately he rushed to him. Meanwhile, his mother was calling him, saying that, hey, don't go there. You waste your time. You have to come fast. You have to come to the end point. His parents will take care of it, something like that. But then this boy immediately rushed. When this boy was turned around going back, another child also saw that. And he also was touched because this fellow is crying. All of them are friends. Then he was looking around, but the mother was saying that, no, no, you come. You don't waste your time. And this boy looks at the mother, looks at the child and all that for a while. But then he rushes to that. Finally, what happens? 7 or 8 children were there. All of them went back to that boy. And then all 8 of them came together. How beautiful it is. So that means to say, compassion was so natural for them. They don't care for whether they win the prize or not. Is it? The commentator said that was the best running race that he had ever seen. Child has that natural ability, and you see, that's what is madness is, something that you don't look at the benefit, profit and loss, benefits. You just do it. Go out and do it. Child has that truth naturally. I always say that. Child has no untruth in it. In fact, he doesn't feel like going to the school. He makes all kinds of faces. I'm not going. Mother says, no, no, school, you're getting delayed. Come on, put on this thing, put on that and all that. But wantedly, he keeps all kinds of mistakes. A right leg, he puts it in the left shoe, left leg, he puts in the right shoe. All kinds of things. And then mother shouts at him and all that. Meanwhile, bus comes and then honking. Now mother realizes that this boy is not in a mood to go to school. So he says to the driver, he's not going to school, so he can go. Why? Mother says he is sick. But the child wants to shout at mother saying, no, I'm not sick. I don't feel like going to school. It's a simple truth. So we implant the untruth in the child, lie into the child. That untruth that is there, that truth that is there within us, that honesty that's there within us, belongs to consciousness. That's why even when we are telling the lie, we always have somebody behind us. We know that we are telling a lie. And that is the pure consciousness saying that, no, this is something wrong, what you are talking about. So that consciousness there within, deep inside within us, and that we identify with that. Yogi yoga niyojita chittaha ramate balaha. Bala means that child. Unmattaha. That's another beautiful thing. Unmatta is also where, unmattata is where there is no intellect. Matto bhavati. Bhagavad in Bhakti Sutra also says, Unmatto bhavati is like a man. And mad in a good sense, not in a bad sense. So mad person is also like that. He is free from intellectual, material kind of benefits, goods and all that. So such a person is, now what happens, ordinary mad person, he is mad because of some pressure or the other and he goes beyond that. Therefore, what happens is that he is connected with that particular situation in form of happiness and sorrow and all that, connected with that. Whereas a person who is yogi, no yoga niyojita chittaha, that is consciously has put mind into, merged into the consciousness, for such a person, unmattavadeva. So that means to say he is very naturally, spontaneously, blissfully is unmatta. That means to say he is mad. Ramakrishna Paramahansa could not, he was like that. He could not take care of himself, like a mad person. But that madness is a divine madness. But he was like that, but then he also saw a saintly person who was eating the food from the dustbin. There are dogs eating the food from the dustbin. He also went to the dustbin and then eating the food from there. Then Ramakrishna prays to the Divine Mother, saying that, Mother, you made me mad of your love, but don't make me mad like him. Because the reason why Ramakrishna says is not because that there is something about complaint about that, but he says that he is supposed to guide people. His purpose of life is something different. Apart from realizing that I is true, but he also became a teacher. So therefore, that he says, don't make me like that. Conscious caution. There is a little bit of caution in that. So that's what it is. He says that when you are in the state of Bhaja Govindam, Prathya Karpata Virajata Kadha, Punya Punya Vivarjita Pandha, Yogi Yoga Niyojita Chittaha, Ramate Bala, Unmattamadena. It's a very nice sutra in the sense that recently the one fellow was sharing with me that he said that he is into all this sadhana, spirituality, and all that. Then that one of his friends, he said that why don't you just close all the windows, doors, everything in the darkness, and you play the music and dance all by yourself. Then nobody else is watching you. You dance. This is even that's so difficult to dance because what happens is my awareness, my inhibition comes into the way. I can't even dance. So difficult it is. So unmatta chitta, inhibitions come. So difficult to come out of that inhibition, even though you know very well that you are not that. So that's why it is very, very difficult to have that kind of thing. That's why it says yogi yoga niyojita chitta ramate balonmatta bala unmattavadena. Kastvam koham kutayataha kame janani kome tataha iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram kastam tyaktva swapna vicharam. Kastvam koham kutayataha. Now, once you start having the glimpse of that aspect of yours, which is supposed to be the one which is the pure consciousness. Now this question comes, the more and more that you identify with that, you can see that your consciousness is something which is flowing in all the stages of your life. You're a child, you're an adult, and all the thing that's going on. Then this question comes, who am I? Where am I coming from? The moment that this question comes up, these questions are very important. They are the lead questions for us. That's why he says, Kastam koham kutayataha. Where are you coming from? Who are you? And who am I? Where from do I come? And who is the mother? And who is father? And then you start looking at it. Actually, you start realizing that this is like a journey that's going on where we incidentally are together and then we departed. And again, that another set of people we gather and then that journey continues. My journey continues going on that. Who am I? That consciousness I have. In fact, even to say that that is the consciousness itself is, you have already labeled it. Nothing belongs to that label. So therefore, he only stops at that question level and keep that question intact. And that question, he says, is the Kastum koham kutayataha. We come because, but basically that space and time, we have frozen. We have frozen the frozen time. But the moment that we are frozen, and that freezing is the one which created the whole world outside. So much that we freeze this time, so much that today every minute becomes important. We have frozen it so much. Earlier it was not like that. I remember that when 30, 40, 50 years ago. All right, today I go and tomorrow I come, train comes 1 hour late, it doesn't matter. Time was not that frozen that way. It was very happy. They're playing around, all that was there. Nobody was. But as the time passed, look at the way that how deeply that it is frozen. To say that's why every minute is important. Meeting minutes are taken care of, hours are forgotten. Yeah, we have come to that level where minute becomes important, hours are not important. In the process, what happens? Look at the way that how when this becomes time is frozen, then what happens is that just it flows and you don't even notice that you because your whole agenda is filled with that, and then you are taking care of that agenda at the end of it. In the process that your life is slipping away, you don't even notice that. So where are you coming from? Time is frozen, space is frozen. Kuta ayataha. Just keep yourself questioning that. That means basically that you are questioning the frozen aspect of it, and you go beyond that. Kame janani kome tataha. Even that is something which is basically looks like an arrangement that is made. Looks like some system that is created for you. That's wonderful. I have no disregard for the mother, father. There's no regard for all those things, but recognizing all those things as an arrangement that is made. And you see that the moment that is gone will never come back. It will not repeat itself. It is such a, and we don't even pay attention to that. Never comes back. Never relived, never rehearsed about that. Iti paribhavaya sarvam asaram. When you see these things, asaram, that means to say we need to understand that asaram, it means to say it means worthless, it's useless. No, nothing like that. Its sara is only to that degree. The sara of it, essence of it is only to that degree. It's like the way that the shell is used until that fruit comes up, and then fruit breaks the shell and it comes out. After that, shell is not needed. I use the shell and then I come out of it. I break the shell and come out of it. Egg is there as long as that it is protected to see that the chick is grown. But once it grows, it breaks the shell and comes out. Doesn't even see the shell that is there. It's only the human being that we have remembered the past and future and present and all those things. That's why we hold on to that. So kastum poham putayataha kame janani kome tataha iti parabhave sarvam asaram vishwam jaktva swapna vicharam. Beautiful example for that is swapna vicharam. Because you see that you construct the whole swapna, the dream, but then you wake up from that. You didn't even set the things into order. The dream will not wait for you. The wakeful state will not wait for you. No, first let me put the things in the dream orderly, and then I come out of the dream. No, it doesn't even wait for that. Suddenly you come up and everything is gone. So therefore, basically, swapnavasaram, that means that's a very important idea. What I said is that why I said that is people are always thinking of putting the things into the order, the nature. Everything has to be in order, taken care of, and I have to set up this money for this and that money for that, and this property, everything, paper should be finalized, so that everything should be order. Then I can depart from here. Dream is that where there is no order. Just fancy, it just comes up and goes. Swapnavasaram means basically, it is not the question of that I have Swapna Vicharam. It is like that yes, we are doing it. This orderliness and perfection, these are the things. In God's language, it is not there. There is nothing like that. He created a child, and then right from the mother's womb, he takes him away. Why did he first of all create if he has to take away? Question it. Somebody who is so brilliant and intelligent like Shankaracharya lives for 33 years only. Somebody another useless completes his 100 years. What's the meaning behind it? What's the idea behind it? There is nothing like idea. It's a play. Swapna Vicharam, that means to say, it is something which is like a dream, where as long as that you're in a dream, you manage. As long as in the dream, you try to take care of the emotions that are connected with the dream. But the rest of it, just leave it. It's almost like the way that the image is there in front of the mirror. The mirror reflects all that. But the moment the image goes away, then mirror leaves it. So, and it's not that only when you die, that's not the question. Every moment it's happening. A moment, every moment is something which is slipping away out of your hands. What is the reality? And then you let go. And then you continue to move on. So that's what is the idea of Swapna Vicharam. When we say Vishwam Tyaktva Swapna Vicharam, in the sense that we are in this world, the world is important for us, we take care of everything. But like the way that the moment we wake up from the dream, things are gone, the same way that we are just waking up from this world itself. Wake up from this world so that we go to a different world altogether. This kind of a non-attachment is something which is very important. And that way, when you live with that kind of a non-attachment, that's what is Bhaja Govindam. Mudhamate is somebody who holds on to this without that freedom, whereas one who recognizes the freedom but runs in this life is the one who is wise. Svayamai Chanyatreko Vishnuhu Yardham Kupyasi Maya Sashishnuhu Sarvasminnapi Pashyatmanam Sarvatro Truja Bheda Jnanam Sarvatra Truja Bheda Jnanam. Now, often this question comes up saying that, let me read the in me, in you, and in everything, none but the same Vishnu dwells. But anger, impatience is meaningless if you wish to attain the status of Vishnu. Soon have Sambhava always, Samabhava always. That's what is the idea. What dwells within us is this Vishnu. This idea is very significant in the sense that we think that, oh, if it is like a dream, the whole world is like a dream, then it's very depressing thought. Then there is nothing which is important, everything is like dream. So why should I care for? What do I do? Do I really commit suicide? In fact, actually last week there was one person in Prashanti, and the boy was saying like that. If everything is dream, everything is like a dream world, then why do I live? Why do I have to care for it? I said, yeah, there is no need for you to breathe also. But can you stop breathing? You can't. You can stop food, you can stop this, you can stop that, but you can't stop breathing. And you can't stop heart beating. That means somebody else, good Lord, is taking care of it. That good Lord who is taking care of it is Vishnu. So he is doing all those things. So deep inside, that's why it is Vishnu. The concept of Vishnu is 2-3 things that we need to understand that. First thing is that often Shankaracharya is taken Shaiva and he doesn't care for other gods. Whereas look at the way that he directly talks about Vishnu only. So I think the pure Shaivites that they will be shying away from Shankaracharya when this question comes up. The second thing is Vishnu is somebody who is a sustainer of this universe. The concept of Vishnu is the person one who sustains. So he is sustaining that. You might take food, but if Vishnu is not there, that food is not digested. If Vishnu is not there, the breathing would not have gone. But if Vishnu is not there, even if you want to breathe, you can't do anything. So all the ingredients are there, everything is there, but in spite of it, there is some organization that's going on with it. And that organization, what is supposed to be Vishnu. And like the way it is there in you, Vishnu is also there in every small thing that is there. That's what the idea of the we have given that. Ekaha Vishnu. Tvai mai chanyatra ekvo ekaha Vishnu. Within you and me and in this whole creation that is around, there's only one thing, that's what is Vishnu. Verdham jupyasi maya sahishnu. Why are we angry with anything? Why do I have to be angry with anything? Why do I have to feel something different? It's like the way my one hand is fighting with the other hand. My one eye is fighting with the other. Particularly my tongue and teeth are fighting. I bite the teeth, I bite the tongue myself. I don't have to do that. Kupyasi, that angry. Small little simple things irritate us. Why are you getting irritated? Because it's all Vishnu who is managing that. That's why we have that such a beautiful example of Krishna. In spite of the fact, all kinds of things that are happening around, you see Krishna always happy, joyful, smiling, full of life. That's what is Vishnu. He spreads that. So where is the question of kupyasi? Where is the question of anger? And not only that, my asahishnu. Why do you become impatient? Every dialogue that comes out of impatience, let it happen. There is another order which is taking care of it. So I said that the beautiful incident of Swami Vivekananda in that Somnath temple. If I were there, I would have protected you. He said to Divine Mother's statue, head was cut and fallen down. He said, if I were there at that time, I would not have. Who cares? Who takes care of you? Who? Why are you in a hurry? Leave it. Do it fully. There's some there's full-fledged activity that you do it. There's so much of passion in that. Everything is there. But there is no impatience in that. Passion and putting an energy and all those things is different from being impatient. Impatience means I want the things to happen. Whereas putting the energy and everything doesn't require that. It says that, okay, if God's work, that's happened. The way that Vivekananda did, the work was so whirlwind like an activity. Such an extraordinary, wonderful act. The same thing, even Shankaracharya did it. 33 years that he did so much of an activity. But all that is for what end? It's not a question of negativity, that positivity. So all the idea is that kupyasi by asahishnu, there is no patience, there is no lack of patience in that. Sarvasmin api pashyatmanam sarvatro sruja bheda jnana. All that what you see is nothing but Vishnu. Same Atman that's there within me, it's supposed to be Vishnu. Atma there within everything, everybody that is there. Can you recognize the sameness and everything that is there? So, sarvasmin, in everything api, pashya atmanam, see Atma, sarvatro sruja bheda jnana. There is no question to define the separateness or different between these two. The you and the other, everything is one and the same thing. You create that. That's what is the Vishnu aspect of it. That's something which is taking care of this. Shatro mitre putro bandhav makuru yatnam vigraha sandhav bhava samachittaha sarvatratvam vanchasya chira yati vishnutvam. Again, he brings about the Vishnutvam here. And here, Now, what happens is that whatever that is there in this creation, we label them. This is Shatru, this is Mitra, this is friend, and this is an enemy. And similarly, this is a Bandha, Bandhava. All these things are relationship that is there, is necessary, is important. It's for the order of the society that we respect that. But at the same time, when all these things are existing, bhava samatvam, sarvatratvam, vanchasya chiradhriti, vishnutvam, chiradyati, yadi vishnutvam. All these things behind that, you see that it is the vishnutvam. It's something which is the sustaining force that's existing. All this relationship and all those things, we respect it, we pay importance to it, but at the same time, they have got their own role to play. There's all the roles that we play, it's all the connection that we give. They need to work in that. The world needs an order, society needs an order. And in fact, where the higher purpose is the one that we have the goal on that, when we become, then it helps us to see that we become a witness to this world outside. When we become witness to the world outside, then we'll be able to perform this world duties much better way. You see, rather than getting involved and being emotional in this, getting lost in that, when we become a witness, then we are able to perform much better in this world. That's why we have given this idea that this whole place is like a play. In the play, the roles are there, that they are playing their roles, assigned with that, and then they diligently play those roles and they show all their emotions and everything. But at the same time, that it does not touch their heart. They're free from that. So that's why the role play is there. And in this role play, all the relationship, everything is there. But then you know that ultimately what has to happen is that the flow has to happen in this world. I always say that there are a group of friends who are there together and then they're all right, let's spend time playing football. And then they divide into two groups. And the moment that you divide into two groups, then you say, he is my friend, he is an enemy. And don't give the ball to the enemy, give ball to the friend. And then don't put in your goal, put it in the other goal that you have to go there. It might happen today like that, but tomorrow the whole group may be different. And then today's friend, tomorrow becomes an enemy. It happens like that in our day-to-day life also. Nobody is constantly friend, nobody is constantly an enemy. Many times they may be very good friends, my best friend we say. But over a period of time, somehow life moves on and then you are away from that. So therefore, basically, all these things are there in the sense that they're all important, they're very, but don't get attached with that. Vigraha Sandhav. Makuru Yatnam Vigraha Sandhav. Try to bring about wanting to change, wanting to develop, wanting to do this. Your desire, your activity, all those things. Don't waste your time on that. Don't spend yourself in all those things. The friends, there are enemies. How you try to, in this world, don't try to, you don't have to convince anybody beyond certain limit. Afterwards, leave it. We put a lot of effort in trying to convince somebody. You know what happens is that we are caught up with some idea and then we become so convinced about our idea validity. And then we want to convince the others also for that. But it so happened that I was coming from I think from Europe, somewhere I was coming to India, and then I came to Frankfurt airport, waiting for the Bangalore flight. You know, Bangalore flight, when we wait at that gate, naturally anybody who comes is also traveling by the Bangalore flight. So I was all alone. I came very early. Another fellow came and sat next to me. So naturally he's going to Bangalore. Because he's sitting next to me, I just smiled. He also smiled. Young fellow. I said, you are going to Bangalore? Yes. So I, I also said, I'm going to Bangalore. Then I asked him, are you really going to? He said, no, I'm going to Mangalore. Bangalore, I will come, get down there. I'll take a bus and go to Mangalore. Oh, okay. Then I asked him that, do you live in Mangalore? No, 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 I live in Canada. Oh, you live in Canada and you came here? Yes, for holidays I came. Then he asked me, where are you coming? I said, from London, England. So you live there? No, I live in India, Bangalore. I live in Bangalore. I just came for some lecture series, work for that, and then I'm going back. So you live in Bangalore? Yes. Now he got an idea. Oh, India is being Talibanized, particularly Bangalore, Mangalore is being Talibanized. I said, it's a big word, Talibanized. And he's convinced about that, India being Taliban. And he doesn't live in India, he lives in Canada. I said, what do you mean by Talibanized? You know, what do you mean by Talibanized? He said, what? Talibanized means, in Afghanistan it happened. A medical doctor who is a lady doctor, she shot dead. And lady schools are closed and all that. So that's what is happening in Taliban country. But India, it is not happening. Why do you say Taliban? No, no. India also it's happening. Slowly it's coming to that. Slowly it's going to be like that. I said, what happened? Recently, those days, actually recently, that time, in Mangalore, some girls were drinking in the pub. So some men went there and actually dragged them out. You should not drink at the public place, you should drink at home. All that they said. And then there's a little harsh way. I said, yeah, it's a little hard way handling the women. But it has nothing to do with the Taliban. I mean, in our culture itself, women drinking in the pub is not really a good sign of a family lady. No, no, no. In fact, a friend of mine, his children, he took them away from the school. He said, you cannot do it because it's Hindutva. It's coming, everything being Talibanized. I tried to convince him. He doesn't want to get convinced because he said, why should I convince him? Leave him alone. Then I said, then he asked, so you are a software engineer? I said, yeah. Are you also software? I said, no, I'm not a software engineer. I'm a yoga teacher. Oh, I also do yoga. At least there is a common ground for us to exchange ideas. So you like idea? Oh, really? I like idea very much. I like yoga very much. I used to do yoga. Particularly when I was working in Bangalore, in the software company, I was doing yoga. Oh, good. Then he said, why, when I was doing yoga, I never wanted to drink because, yoga brings about that kind of awareness that I never wanted to drink and all that. And every software engineer should do yoga. They should not drink. Otherwise, so much of drinking is going on in the software industries. Wow. Men should not drink and women can drink. What's your logic? Yeah. Men should not drink because men are responsible. Women can drink. Enjoy the conversation. Don't get caught up with that thinking. So this is what. Don't become serious about all those things. That's what Shankara says. Don't try to convince about that. Makuru yatnam vigraha sandhau bhava samachittaha sarvatattvam vanchasya chiraditya vishtatva. Ultimately, what is required is that balance, that harmony. And as long as that harmony is there, you are beautiful, you are wonderful. Just celebrating every moment. Vishnutvam is that aspect of it, where in spite of the fact that the things are changing, you are stable, you are steady, you are beautiful in that. Being in that state is that Bhaja Govindam. The idea is that you are always there. Kamam krodham lopam moham tyaktvatmanam bhavaya poham atmajnana vihina mudha te pachante naraka nipudha. These are the things, kamam krodham lobham moham. In fact, many times this has been expressed as things which are supposed to be this, that these are the enemies that are there within us. Tasmat Jagrata Jagrataha. That's what it says there. So these are the 6 enemies that are there within us. What do you mean by that, enemies? They are enemies with you because basically that they take you away from your natural state of bliss, natural state of satisfaction. That they take it away. And another thing is that karma is something that you don't even realize. It looks like that, yes, it's something which is necessary. In fact, what happens is that we have karma is the desire, need, and then we feel that it is necessary, that I need it, I need to have it, you subserve it. When you subserve what is karma, the karma is satisfied, that you feel comfortable, you feel happy, you feel you are satisfied. But in the process, you see that next time the object requirement, the karma, goes on increasing. After some time, then you see that that one particular dose is not enough. I think you need to go for both, more. Drink at the beginning, that people go for half a peg and then 1 peg, and then it just goes on like that. That's why it is said that drink drinks you. It goes on consuming you. Whatever that is supposed to be the certificate you get with earlier, now you don't get that. This is the, and you subserve that because you have means for that. Any karma is there that you have means, and then you subserve it. We have it. So therefore, in the process, that what happens is that you don't recognize that how the karma itself is something which is escalating. And we have all kinds of excuses for that. Like that karma need not be something about the object. Even the laziness is also something like a karma. You don't want to exert yourself. That's why Leo Tolstoy's story, where he gets down at the railway station and then porters come and then take out all the boxes that were there. One porter was extra. He said, "What can I do?" Because now all the boxes, everybody. But don't you see the boy is there sitting inside? Yeah, come on, carry him. Why? What happened? He is paraplegic. He cannot walk. Cannot do. No, I have money to pay for him. So use the money to see that boy is lazy. One generation uses all that, and second generation will suffer. Next generation will suffer. So this, you don't realize that karma is something which is destroying you. Karma is that level where whatever that object that is necessary for us, that you use it, useful, that's what we like it. But then what is beyond that is what is karma. Karma is that what you need it, but beyond that, that's what is karma. And this karma, when it is subserved, you can go on increasing. But when it is denied, the same karma becomes krodha. Krodha is not something different. It takes birth out of this karma itself, born out of that. Kama yesha krodha. That's what in the Bhagavad Gita says that. And now what happens? Moment you have that becomes like krodha, anger. Anger takes away that your awareness. And lobha is the next one that it. And that's what is basically, you try to create a boundary around yourself, around the object. What otherwise to have been the freedom? No boundary at all. Now you create a boundary. So lobham, kamam, krodham, lobham, moham, moha, mamatva. Now this is mine, this is not mine. How much that this moha can become. Moha actually is also sammoha. That means basically that you are not there. It's like a dream state. You have entered into the dream state. The world is like in the dream state that you are. Normal dream state, at least that there is something that you come out of it. But this is the dream state. Moha is the one that you develop while waking state. So it's not so easy to come out of it unless until it is properly understood. At the time moha level, when you come to, you have already journeyed so much. You have climbed up the stairs already so much. All these things that you need to give it up, tyaktva, by giving up all those things, leaving all those behind. Kamam, krodham, lobham, moham, tyaktva, that means to say, you're not giving up the object nor giving up the satisfaction that the object gives. But whatever that is built beyond that, that's what you give up. Tyaktva. Once you give up that, tyaktva, atmanam bhavaya ko aham. Now, then what happens is that for whose sake that this joy is there, for whose sake this object is there, for whose sake this world is around. All the senses are given for whose sake when you look at it. Then it is for me, this Atman. Now you recognize that Atma Sthiti that's there within. When can it be possible is when you come out of this kama, krodha, loka, moha, tyaktva, atmanam bhavaya, o aham. Atmajnana vihina mudha, te pachante narakaniputa. And this Atmajnana is just only self-introspection, self-understanding. Look at this. Are we not holding on to something which is unnecessary for us? Are we not something which is holding on to something which is actually slowly poisoning us, ruining us? And do recognize that. Once you recognize that, then what happens? You recognize the Atma. This question comes, who am I? Who aham? Who is this aham? And that aham, Atma, I am Atma Brahma, that aspect of it. That's what is the main inquiry, main journey that we are making. So once you see that, Tyaktvatmanam bhavaya koham, Atma jnana vihina mudha. Why he says mudha? He is talking about all these pandits, all these people who have learned. He's not talking of somebody who is uneducated. Mudha can only happen to somebody who is educated, not only ordinary educated, but these are the people who are the Shastric way they are educated. They know the Shastras, they know what they do with that. But Shastras also words that they hold on to, logic they hold on to. They hold on to various aspects of it, but Atma Jnana they don't have. They don't get into that. Atma becomes only, Atma Jnana becomes only another piece of knowledge that you have, another asset that you have. It does not become you. Such a person is Atma Vihinaha. So he is much more he has, in fact, a person who does not go to the spiritual knowledge, go to all these books and all that, he may have a chance to come towards that. But somebody who drifts away after all this knowledge and everything is known, then he may not have the chance of getting back to Atma. That's what Narada says in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. He says that, Chandogya Upanishad, he says that, I learned everything. Rugadhyemi, Jnanamadhyemi, Nyayadhyemi, Yakshavidyamadhyemi, Nakshatravidya, everything. But Shochami, all these things become like a burden on my head. But then my suffering has not gone. If the suffering has not gone, if these books do not help me, then do you think that there is any other book that can help you? No, book itself will not help you. Shastra itself will not help you. But your own experience you have to get into. Atma Jnana is in that experience. All these things will have to be part of our experience. When that happens, then Atma Jnanam Vihina Mudha Te Pachante Narakaniputa. Such a person, then all these things become like suffering for him, Naraka. The food that is supposed to become food for us, energy for us, if it do not digest that food, that becomes poison for us. The same way, this is also something which is undigested kind of a thing, becomes like an araka. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. So therefore, what we need to do is to see that, recognize that all these things is within that experience, we can go back to that. We'll stop it here, 26, then we'll continue next time. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.